Good afternoon and welcome to Refresh. My name's Carrie Overton, and this week we're going to be talking about perfectionism. Are you somebody who struggles to start or stop or is really critical of yourself and wants everything to be perfect? Well, this could be the Refresh episode for you. First of all, it's really important to make a distinction that being a perfectionist is not the same thing as being a high achiever or setting high goals for yourself or aiming high, being ambitious, liking a challenge, goal setting. All of those things, if you feel they are healthy and they are inspiring you and you are enjoying them, that's great. That's not a problem at all. Perfectionism is different to that, and perfectionism comes when you have sort of excessively high personal standards and along the way then are overly critical of yourself if you perceive that you are not meeting them. And actually, perfectionism has the sort of a negative effect in as much as you are actually less likely to achieve well and you're more likely to encounter stress than if you lowered the goals and lowered the targets for yourself and were more reasonable about them. But it's important to make that distinction. It's not about saying don't aim high at all. In a nutshell, it's not a problem unless it's a problem. So basically, if you are finding yourself, I don't know, unable to accept criticism because you see it as a deeply personal attack on your self and your work, and you're unable to appreciate the journey that that feedback could give you, that could be a sign of something to be concerned about. Similarly, if you find yourself struggling to start a project because of a fear that it won't be perfect and absolutely brilliant, or a fear of stopping a project because there's always a little bit more to do, that can also be a sign of perfectionism. Um, if you find yourself being disproportionately critical of yourself, not just a sort of, oh, I made a mistake there, I got that bit wrong, but really hard on yourself and possibly on other people if something doesn't go to plan, that can be a sign, as can your motivation being driven by a sort of fear of getting something right or getting something wrong. So all of those things can be signs that there are perfectionism tendencies. So what can you do about them? Well, the first thing to do, and this is where you might need a piece of paper and a pen, is ask yourself these questions. If you think of a project that you're working on at the moment or something that you think, oh, this is, I'm struggling with this, just take a minute before you start and ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve? Really think about it. What am I trying to achieve? And who am I doing this for? Who, who am I trying to please by doing this? And what is it that I really am wanting? So, am I really wanting perfection? Or am I wanting approval or affirmation or praise or acceptance? And having that idea about what is actually going on there can be really useful to help you identify your motivation, because then you can start digging into it. Why do you need this person's attention or praise? What is it that matters to you about having this affirmation? And that's a whole other coaching session, but for now, ask yourself those questions and see what it is starting to throw up at you, because it could be interesting to find out that your motivation is not being perfect, but is actually a desire to be affirmed. And then ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen if this doesn't turn out as planned, and how will you deal with that, and how likely is it that this will happen? And that pressing pause and reflecting on the journey and what's really going on there can be very, very insightful. And as a first strategy, that's a really good starting point to really dig into your motivation for why you're doing something. But beyond that, when you're starting a new project or a new anything, it could be a work project, it could be a personal goal that you're setting. Strategy 2 here, keep it reasonable and achievable. And that's where, as a perfectionist, you can often fall down. You set the bar so high that you are going to fail because it's not actually something that's achievable. So, again, think of something that you've got at the moment. Is it achievable? What steps need to happen along the way? And then where is the achievable bar? If it's not there, if that's not achievable, where does achievable begin for you? That you really know, actually, this is something I can succeed in. This is something I can plan for. This is something I can break down the steps for. And this is something that I can see myself being able to do. So ask yourself that question all the way along. Is this realistic? Is this achievable? And if the answer is no, break it down even further. Okay, so for example, feel like, I want to run, I want to get fit, and you say, I want to run a marathon, and you've never run in your life. That's possibly a very long term goal, but what is achievable for now? Well, achievable for now might be, I'm going to run for 3 minutes 4 times this week. So do you see what I mean? Keep breaking it down and ask yourself, will I do this? Is this achievable? Can I succeed at this? How do I feel emotionally? Does thinking about this make me feel expansive, or does it make me feel sort of constricted? That sort of, God, I'm drowning in this. Because if you have an expansive feeling about it, you're much more likely to do it, and you're much more likely to succeed at it. So it will play to your perfectionism, it will play towards your wanting to achieve and wanting to get that recognition and feeling sort of good about yourself, because you will be constantly ticking things off. Whereas what you might find you're doing at the moment is constantly not meeting, which reinforces that sort of self talk and feeling of failure. Oh, I'm not going to be able to do this. I won't be very good at this. So set yourself up to succeed. And the final strategy is about setting a checklist, writing a checklist. Now, by this, I don't mean a list of to do jobs. When you have a task, so for example, you need to send an email to a group of people about something. Before you do it, set down some criteria about what you will be happy with. What has to be in place for that email to have done all the things that you need it to do. So, for example, you've spell checked it and you know that all the spelling, grammar, punctuation, everything is correct. You know you've got all the right people that need to be in that email included. You're happy with, you've expressed your point, you've explained what is going to happen, or you've explained how you feel about something, and that is clear. Don't set more than about 3 criteria for this. And they're the 3 most important criteria. And then achieve those. Don't worry about everything else. And you can apply this in your personal life as well. So, I want the house to be tidy. Well, that may be something that's achievable for you, but it may not be. For many people, that's really difficult. So what will be okay for you? What are your priorities? Well, I'd be happy if the kitchen is clear, I've done a load of washing, and I've put the shopping away. And if those are the 3 things that matter to you and at the top of your priority list, focus on doing those and do them. And then you will find yourself starting, as we said before, it's all about making sure that you do achieve with realistic goals set for you. So I hope that's been useful. A very, very quick dip into perfectionism. If you want to find out more information, do get in touch with me, Carrie Overton Coaching. You can email me at info@carrieovertoncoaching or follow me on social media. But I'll be back next week with another video explaining how to do something. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.